Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining me on another episode of the Own the Process podcast. I'm your host, Belny Danny. Whether you're listening on your way to work, during your workout, or while you're just relaxing at home, I appreciate you spending time with me. Uh, Today, we're going to be talking about a topic that it has been on my heart recently, and that is capacity, right? When I say capacity, I'm talking about your ability to handle more than you think you can, your ability to grow, adapt, learn, accomplish things that once seemed impossible. Now, here's the thing. Many of us underestimate our capacity because we're focused on where we are instead of where we are capable of going. Today's episode is very personal because I'm going to share my own journey, one that started almost 20 years ago and recently came full circle in a way I never imagined. My hope, my desire is that by the end of this episode, you will begin to see that your potential is much greater than your current circumstances. Now, let's get into it. Now, for those that know, I haven't been in college since 2007. Back then, I enrolled because I wanted to become an architect. Now, if I'm being honest, my reasoning wasn't exactly profound. I wanted to design my own house one day. And looking back at it, that's probably not the strongest reason to pursue a degree. But at the time, it made sense to me. Like many young people, I was trying to figure life out. I thought I had my future mapped out, and I thought architecture was my path. But life has a funny way of revealing things about ourselves that we didn't know before. While I was in school, attending school, something unexpected happened. I fell in love with business, not through textbooks, not through classrooms, not through experiences. It was simply because I was selling shoes to pay for college out of pocket. At the same time, I had a health and wellness business, and every day I was making sales. Every day I was learning about customers. Every day I was learning about marketing. Every day I was learning about value that I provided. And what I discovered was that I was becoming more excited about business than I was about architecture. I found myself thinking about business opportunities during class. I found myself dreaming about entrepreneurship. I found myself wanting to build something of my own. Coming from Haitian immigrants, that was important to me. Eventually, I had to ask myself a difficult question. Why am I continuing down this path that no longer aligns with who I am becoming? That's a hard question because sometimes we spend so much time pursuing something that we feel obligated to continue. Even when we know our heart is not in the right fit for it anymore. And I know a lot of people deal with that. Leaving college wasn't an easy decision. There was uncertainty, there was fear, there were opinions of others, opinions of my parents. There were questions about whether I was making the right choice. But deep down, I knew I had to. I knew I had to make this decision that because it aligned with my future. I chose to leave school and pursue business. Now, let me tell you something. The classroom wasn't teaching me what entrepreneurship was teaching me every single day. People often say that life is the best teacher. For me, that statement has been proven to be true. Life has taught me about being resilient. Life has taught me how to problem solve. Life has taught me how to communicate. And it's funny, life taught me how to recover from mistakes. It's taught me how to manage money. And most importantly, it's taught me how to serve customers. Life has taught me how to take risks. And most importantly, life has taught me that success isn't always a straight line. Sometimes the path you choose isn't the path you stay on. And that, too many people think changing direction means failure, but sometimes changing direction is exactly what growth looks like. You don't fail because you pivot. You grow because you become more aware of who you are and who you're becoming. This brings me to today's main point: capacity. What is capacity? Capacity is the ability to hold more, to handle more, to become more. Most people never discover their true capacity because they stop when things become uncomfortable. The moment that life gets difficult, they assume they've reached their limit. But if I'm being honest with you, what if what if limit isn't real? What if it's simply the edge of your comfort zone? Think about it. Think about working out. The only way muscles grows is through resilience. The only way that endurance improves is through challenge. The same thing applies to life, and your capacity expands when you are stretched, not when you're comfortable, not when everything seems easy, not when everything is predictable. Growth requires stretching, and stretching doesn't always feel good, but it produces result. I believe that I believe in many of us, we carry dreams that require bigger versions of ourselves. The challenge isn't the dream. The challenge is increasing our capacity enough to sustain the dream. Because what you pray for, hope for, and work for will eventually require a greater version of you. That greater version is developed through process. That's why this podcast is called Own the Process, because the process is where capacity is truly built. Fast forward today. I'm now 39 years old. And after all these years, I've made a decision that surprised a lot of people. I've decided to go back to school and earn a degree in business. The same person who left college years ago, the same person who built businesses, the same person who learned through life experiences, went back to finish what I started. Now I know what you're asking. Why? I've run businesses already. Why? Why go back? Because this season of my life required something different. I wanted to be an example to my son, an example to my family, an example to people who may think it's too late. I wanted to remove excuses. I wanted people to see that growth doesn't have an expiration date. You're never too old to learn. You're never too old to improve. You're never too old to chase a goal. You're never too old to start over. Too many people believe that once they've reached a certain age, opportunity disappears. But that simply is not true. Your age is not your limitation. Your mindset is. And I want my actions to communicate that message louder than my words ever could. Actions, I remember hearing a quote years ago. It says, "Let my actions speak so loudly that people can't hear you speak." Now, here's the part that surprised most people. I completed a 4-year degree in less than 12 months. Let me say this clearly. My approach was extremely aggressive, and I don't necessarily recommend it for everyone. Everybody's journey is different, everybody's responsibilities are different, everybody's learning uh, learns differently. But here's what the experience has taught me: we are capable of far more than we think. Most people don't have a capacity problem, they have a belief problem. They don't believe they can do it. They don't believe that they're smart enough. They don't believe that that they don't believe they are disciplined enough. They don't believe that they have enough time. And that's the biggest lie. But when you make a decision and you commit to it, it's amazing how things can happen. I had to manage business, I had to manage family life, I had to manage my responsibilities, I had to stay disciplined in spite of everything. And every day I knew showing up not because it was easy, but because the goal mattered. It mattered to me. As I reflect on this journey, there's a few lessons that I've learned, and I wanted to leave it with you. There's 5 different points. Point 1: don't let your past decisions define your future possibilities. Just because you stop something before doesn't mean you can't start again. Second, growth requires courage. Sometimes the hardest thing you ever do is believe in yourself. Third, your capacity expands when you challenge yourself. Don't run from difficult things, lean into them. And then you'll find out it creates a better version of yourself. Fourth, it's never too late. I don't care if you're 30, 40, 50, or 60 years old. If there's something you've always wanted to accomplish, go after it. And number 5, last but not least, own the process. Everybody wants results. Everyone wants success. Everyone wants to be recognized. But process is where transformation happens. The process is where discipline is built. The process is where confidence is developed. The process is where capacity is grown. Now, as we wrap up today's episode, I wanted to encourage you to think about one area of your life where you've been limiting yourself. What dreams have you put on hold? What goals have you convinced yourself is impossible? What opportunities have you avoided because you're afraid? Maybe the issue isn't your ability. Maybe it's simply that you've underestimated your capacity. I wanted you to remember this: you are capable of more than you think. You can learn more. You can grow more. You can achieve more. You can become more. Now, with that, thank you for listening to another episode of the Own the Process podcast. If today's conversation encouraged you, share this episode with someone who needs to hear it. And remember, success isn't about avoiding the process, it's about owning it. Until next time, keep growing, keep learning, and keep owning the process. God bless, and I'll see you on the next episode. Have a great day.